So welcome back to my channel. This is Gamer Dom, and time for some more ramblings and muses that I've spotted from around the game. So first up, let's look at biggest topic of the week, the Sandbox. So the main thing that's been getting a lot of attention on the web is the third iteration of the Sandbox. So it's actually the second iteration, but it's the second wave of that. So this is the long-awaited kind of adaptations, changes to artillery. So bearing in mind, caveat, Sandbox is a pre-test environment. It's just where Wargaming are trying out new ideas, new things that may possibly or may not appear in the game eventually, some point down the line. So these are not set in stone. That's the point of the Sandbox. It's somewhere they can try things out which aren't going to influence the game completely, some of which may appear, some of which won't. So the first iteration of this second version of the Sandbox was looking at penetration, changes to drop off of penetration over range, affecting tanks that had very poor dispersion, making them even harder to use at range than they currently are. And while I'm on that, there were so many people who just got. It just shows me, it just stuns me how stupid people are, and how much people just get, just love to troll. So a lot of people posted content around the changes to accuracy in the first version of the Sandbox, and it quite clearly says in the Sandbox definitions, it talks about tanks with 0.4 accuracy dispersion or worse are being affected by it. And yet the number of people who made comments about, oh, that means every tank's going to be affected, or this is just the start of it, they're all going to, every tank's. I've heard from my mate who heard somebody down the pub say that it's going to affect it, and it's just like, for frig's sake, bullcrap. Just read what it says. It talks about 0.4% of 0.4 accuracy and worse. So that's the big ass guns, the tanks that should have no business sniping from the back, and the Sandbox version was to try and test out a big nerf for those guys so that their accuracy gets even worse, to again discourage big ass tanks playing the roles that they shouldn't be playing. They should not be sitting on the red line fire supporting. That's not their job. Their job is to get in close and use their big boomsticks. That's what it was about. But the number of comments there were, I gave up. I made a few comments on people's videos saying, you just got it wrong, guys, and the vitriol and the angst and the anger, and it's just like, oh, forget it, I can't be bothered to even get into arguments. It was very clear. It said 0.4 and worse. Anyway, so the Sandbox, this version of it, they're playing with artillery, which I think will get people very excited. I've seen a lot of comments about this as well. So this is Armored Patrol video blog. So the first up, stun. So what they effectively are doing with Arty is, bear in mind this is only the tier 10s we're looking at the moment, so we haven't seen the effect all the way down through the tiers, if indeed they do run this. So what they're looking to do is effectively increase the blast radius of shells, but lessen the impact of those shells. So instead of doing massive amounts of damage, even when they miss, I'm thinking of you, gun carriage, the British tier 10, that thing, even when it misses, is doing 700-800 damage. So the idea is to reduce the amount of damage they do. They still will do. So if the further out from where you hit, the less damage they do. But as a consequence, they also do stun damage. So they stun the enemy crew. And actually, in some cases, this blast zone is actually pretty big. So if you're aiming at a concentration of enemy tanks, 3 or 4 tanks maybe, and you miss the target you're aiming at, but you land it in amongst them all, pretty much every single tank there will be affected by the stun. And the stun is, I'm not quite sure what it means, but it looks like it's like having your crew member killed or injured.
So it has the same kind of effect on. So if your gunner goes down, your accuracy goes to poop. If your loader goes down, your load time goes to poop. Your commander, so you get the point. Everybody is affected, and the point is, once you get stunned, the entire crew is stunned. So that's one thing, which actually I think has been quite interesting. I played a couple of games on the Sandbox without going into huge amounts of detail because I'm not allowed to unless I get it pre-approved by Wargaming. I thought it actually worked pretty well because I thought as an artillery player sitting somewhere, I mean, if you play artillery, there are games where you absolutely have a blinder and you hit loads of targets, you kill lots of things, you get lots of damage, and they're brilliant. But those games are few and far between. More often than not, you go into the game and you do absolutely sweet Fanny Adams. You may get a little bit of splash, maybe you might get a lucky load health kill, and that's it. It felt like I contributed much more to the games I played, because I felt like even if I was doing the right thing and I was aiming at sort of high value targets, concentrations of high value targets, I found that even when I missed, at least I was stunning the enemy or doing a little bit of splash, and it felt like that was more of a, I actually felt like I was doing something. And the caveat is I haven't played masses of artillery games because it's very hard to get artillery games on the Sandbox because everybody's trying to play them, and they are also instigating this new change that they're proposing, of only 3 artillery maximum per game. So you tend to sit around for about 10 minutes waiting for to log in when you're playing artillery on the Sandbox. So what else are we talking about? So basically they're talking about this is to stress the artillery's role in long-range fire support. So decreasing their dispersion on the move and reload time, and improving aim time and accuracy. So they're better now at providing that fire support. They generally reload slightly quicker. Well, definitely reload quicker, but their impact is less. They're not going to do the big one-shot kills that they previously have done. Now, I don't know if you still land a big ass shell in an open top vehicle, chances are you're still going to kill it, right? But it's not going to happen as often. The other thing they're testing on the test server, which are on Sandbox server, so I keep saying that, is multi-use consumables. So this is actually a really good move, and I hope they bring this in sooner rather than later. This is a bit like you get in World of Warships if you play that thing. So when you click your button for your small repair kit to repair your broken tracks, currently in the game that's gone, it's used, finished. On the Sandbox they're testing it that it's a recharge, so after 90 seconds it's available to you again, which is kind of cool. So in 90 seconds you've got it again, you can reuse it, and off you go. You can also use the consumables to take off the effect of stun, so that's also useful. And that's why they need the recharge, I think, because in battles you get stunned a lot. So the fact you can use your consumable to take that off is really good. Premium ones is recharge is much quicker, 60 seconds. So that's kind of good. I like that, and I think also it gets around that challenge of the games where you've been set on fire twice and you've used your automatic fire extinguisher once. Well, lo and behold, you're going to have it back again, which I think is good too. So really, really good. That's all good. And I'm just reading here also. Spool liners will also have bit less effect than they currently do. So they're reducing the effect with heavy spool liners by 10% and super heavies by 30%. So I guess that's a pain in the arse if you spent a load of money on getting a spool liner on your tanks. Oh well. Ammo loads. So this is also a good move, I think, in terms of taking out some of the angst against artillery. They are taking AP and HE shells away from artillery. Now again, Sandbox only, so don't get all excited. So those days of being hit by M44s firing heat shells at you, you know who you are, you dirty bitches, will go if this change comes in. So that's kind of good. I like that. So basically, you have two shells as artillery. You have HE, and you have a premium HE, which has slightly better alpha and better blast circle. So none of this firing heat shells. And to be honest, I think until the post-war era, artillery didn't fire heat. So I don't know where this came from. They fired HE. That's their role. HE. Boom, boom, boom. Take out. On rare occasions, some guns like 88s would have AP for their anti-tank role, but it wasn't normal. That wasn't what they were for. So, blast damage fall off. So basically, this is the ripple effect of when you fire as an artillery. So as you get to the edge of the explosive blast circle, the damage is less effectively. So but they're actually not doing it quite as much as it is on the current game. So I think that's good. I think it's all good. I think it's about artillery becomes an area effect weapon as opposed to a concentrated kick you up the ghoulies kind of weapon, which they currently are. What else they got here? Another thing they've put in place, so there is on the Sandbox there's a new function. So if you press the T button and you're in artillery and you're aiming at somebody, it will show on the friendly tanks game where your blast circle is, and that is to try and to show friendly tanks that you are targeted there, and that if you fire and you happen to be in that area, chances are you're going to be affected too by the shell. So I think that's good. Whether people will ignore it or not, or use the T button, I don't know, but it's there, so you can do that. The other thing they've investigated is their own version of Battle Assistant. So Battle Assistant, for those who don't know, is that mod that allows you to take a different perspective when you're viewing artillery shots. So you're looking at a target, you press the G button, I think it is, changes on different people's things, and it shows you a sort of a more sort of direct fire view of what you would see from if you were firing the artillery, which allows you to see whether there's certain bits of terrain in the way. It allows you basically to be more effective as an artillery player. So Wargaming, as is their wont, are sort of including more and more of these popular mods into the standard game, and basically saying you don't need any mods anymore because they're already there. So this is one they're testing out, which is a version of Battle Assistant. I have to say, I think it's horrible. Don't like it at all. But at least they're trying, and I guess they can refine it. But this is again on the Sandbox. It's difficult to describe without showing, but when you press the button, it flips you over, and it just, because I'm old, it does my eyes in, and I can't handle it. It just makes me feel a bit queasy when I'm doing it, and I don't think it does anything better than the Battle Assistant does. I'd much rather that. So anyway, so that's what they're testing out on the Sandbox. What do you think? What do you think about this? So, idea is to top level points about this is less artillery in the game, so 3 maximum. Personally, I think it should only be 2, but that's what they're saying, 3 maximum. Artillery has less of a dynamic, dramatic impact on the game, so you're less likely to do one-shot kills. It's less likely to ruin people's days by just driving out in your Jag Tanker E100 and getting one-shotted by enemy artillery. However, it will have a bigger effect in a larger area, so artillery will increase the sort of the splash it does. So you do less and you're more of an annoyance. I think that's the bottom line. Artillery will stun crews in their blast circle. They generally fire more regularly than they previously did, but they do actual less damage. So again, I think this is good because it encourages the artillery player to aim towards groups of enemy, which is kind of their role. The artillery doesn't play a role where there's a solitary tank rushing across a field, and you aim at that and you take it out. That isn't really what it was designed for. It's about, the old joke about artillery stops camping. Well, it is. It's that kind of thing. When the enemy condense down and get close together, artillery was there to disrupt them, to annoy them, to make them move on. And that's kind of what they're trying to do with the Sandbox, and I think that's good. And I've actually enjoyed playing artillery in it. I think it's been kind of fun. And the consumables, I think that's a really good step. Very, very good step. Having rechargeable consumables has got to be good. But let me know what you think down below. I'd love to know. I'm sure people have opinions or two on this as a topic. Nothing gets people more excited than artillery in the world of tanks. So incidentally, we're talking about changes to artillery on the Sandbox. Just noticed that Rita's status report has put up some of the data around the artillery changes, which I think is interesting in itself. So this is only tier 10s, that's all you can play with on the Sandbox at the moment. So if we look at the Batchat 15558, damage has been reduced considerably, 1200 to 750. Penetration has dropped from 95 to 39, but blast circle is increased from 3.97 to 9 meters. Stun is 32 seconds, and this is the premium shell. So it doesn't have the heat shell anymore. It only has standard HE and then a premium HE, and basically that increases the blast circle even further. To 10 meters from 9, so not a huge increase, probably not worth having the premium shells in my book. The GW E100, that also has its premium shells removed. Damage goes from 2000 to 1100, penetration from 105 to 53. So again, if you hit the top of something, you'll do some damage with this thing, but not the 2000 you currently did, only 1000. Blast circle goes from 6.2 to 14, that's a massive amount, and the stun is also very big at 40 seconds. Premium rounds again increased. The Conqueror gun carriage, the orbital space station they call it, don't they? Damage from 2200 to 1200, so almost halving of damage. Penetration 117 to 58 again, but the blast circles increased almost by double, 7.76 to 15. Wow. The T92, again removing the premium shells from 2250 to 1300. Penetration from 120 to 60, it's a halving. But the blast circle again almost double, 8.13 to 15, and stun effect of 45. The object 261, again almost halving of damage, considerable reduction in penetration, more than half there, but blast circle is now 11 meters and stun is 37. So again, 36, 38 even. Again, you can see that the variation between the guns is quite considerable. Accuracy improvement in pretty much every case. So artillery. So if you look at the Batchat, it's improved from 0.8 to 0.61. Aim time is reduced as well. Magazine reloads reduced. So faster firing, less damage, more stun value is basically the rule of thumb on all these. Look at this gun, the E100. Aim time is down from 7 to 4.8. Wow. Orbital gunship from 8.8 to 6.1. Reload time down from 58 to 52. T90, yeah, so basically that's what they've done on the Sandbox. And again, this is Sandbox, this isn't definitely going to happen, but this is what they're looking at, is all the premium ammunition goes, all the AP ammunition goes, you only have HE and then a special premium HE shell. Generally, rule of thumb is aim time comes down, reload time comes down, penetration is halved, damage is pretty much halved in most cases, but your splash zone increases by, most cases, half, some cases considerably more. Very, very interesting. So the big question is, when is the new patch going to arrive? And generally they come sort of a couple of weeks after the test server goes up, but Armoured Patrol blog is reporting that there's been a delay already, and 9.17.1 is not imminent and will probably come in March. So that's interesting if that's true. So don't know what his source is, but good to know. So it looks like we've got a little while before all these changes come in that are in the 9.17.1 patch. That means you've got more time to grind towards those German heavies if that's your thing. So more big news coming based around the proposed changes to light tanks. So again, for those who have had lived on Mars for the last couple of weeks, the plan or proposal is to, well no, I think it's more than a proposal, it is definitely going to happen. They are going to instigate light tanks going up to tier 10. In future they're going to remove the light tank matchmaking, so a tier 6 light tank will no longer be matchmaked as a tier 7 medium tank. It will be matchmaked as a tier 6. Therefore there needs to be some rebalancing of all the light tanks right through the different tiers. We've seen changes to tier 8s, tier 7s, so now we've got some update on tier 6s, and personally I think somebody will make me cry. So first up, gun changes. This will create some fun and games, I'm sure. People will be really pleased about this. So this is the tier 6s. So the AMX 12 ton will have its clip size reduced to 4 shells. I think it's 6 at the moment, isn't it? And this is in keeping with all the AMX series. They seem to be standardizing the shells as 4 for the clips right the way through the tiers. As a sort of trade-off, there's an increase in speed to reload. So the clip reloads quicker, but you only have 4 shells in the AMX. The one that I personally feel very sorry for is the VK 2801, which is the German tier 6 light tank. It's losing its derp gun. Oh, one of the joys of playing that tank was being able to run up behind somebody and put a 105mm HE shell into their arse and just watch them explode. So you've only got a few weeks probably until they do. Well, who knows when they're going to bring this in, but make the most of it, boys. If you like your VK 2801 with your derp, it's not going to be around for much longer, so make the most of it. The Chinese 5916 at tier 6 is getting a new clip top gun, apparently, so there we go. So this is on the daily bounce. Lots of other places are talking about this, so all the changes here to the various tanks, you can look at them at your leisure. Effectively what they are doing is tweaking hit points and I say changing the gun mechanics in most cases, so not a huge amount of changes all the way through here. So the T21, yeah, not much happening there. T37, now this seems to have lost its clip as well, from what I can see. I don't actually tell you, but it's yeah, I'm pretty sure I did read somewhere else as well, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the T37 has also lost its autoloader. T28 will not have its derp gun, as I say, so all good. It's, you know, I think in some ways it's a shame, because part of the beauty of playing different types of tanks was that, you know, like the German tier 6 light had a derp gun, the you know, the T37 had an autoloader, and that was kind of part of the fun of playing them, was they were different and they had different kind of roles in the game, but make the most of it, because it's probably not going to happen. Note here again, this is only super test stats, so we'll see what actually happens for real, but there's the changes are coming. So something that's firmly in the category of people who have too much time on their hands, very interesting article on the Armoured Patrol blog about whether the map rotation is broken. Some chap has done a really big analysis of all the games that you get. He looked at multiple, it doesn't actually say how many games he played, but an awful lot, and bottom line is he came to the conclusion that certain maps do rotate fairly more frequently than others, so that tends to be Siegfried Line, Erlenberg and Sand River, with Mines, Ents, Miravanka, Steppes, Redshires and Malavanka second. But actually the difference isn't huge. So his view is that it isn't broken. Now, to me, that's a load of dingoes' kidneys. So I'll give you an example. This morning, I played 20 games. Yeah, I know, 20 games is a bit sad, but I did. I played 20 games. I had 9 assault games in that. 9. Of which the vast majority was Sand River. You don't believe me? Here's the evidence. So there you go. 9 assault games out of 20 games played. Now, that to me is broken. I used to have assault turned off because people are so flipping stupid with it. They assault when they're supposed to be defending, and they give up decent positions because they have to go after and get the damage and blah blah blah. And all those people are so addicted to just getting damage and kills that they don't actually play the game as it should be played to win. And so anyway, but I turned it back on because I was getting a bit bored of just always having encounters and what's the other one? Standard battles. And also because I was trying to do some TD missions and artillery missions, and in some cases the assault games are a bit easier to do those in my view. So left it on, played a bit, and I was just saying to Bunkers the other night when we were playing a few games, I seem to get more assault games than anything else at the moment, and you know, we played I don't know how many games that evening as well, and even he said, wow, we're getting lots of assault games. But you know, 9 out of 20, come on, wargaming, that's just stupid. But what do you think? What do you think about map rotation? Is it broken? Personally, I would say 100% it is broken. How many times you sit down and play a few games and the same map comes up the majority of the time, and not only that, but you'll end up being in the same spawn the majority of times, and then maps that you just don't see for days on end. Just don't. And I play a lot of games each day. I'm addicted. I fully admit I'm addicted. But there's some maps I just never see for days on end, and then suddenly I'll get them 4 or 5 times. There's something wrong there. Something seriously wrong. What do you think? Let me know down below. What's your experiences of maps? Do you get a good balance? Are you luckier than me? Do you get a balance of encounter, assault, and standard, or have you switched it all off and just play standard? I know a lot of people do that. Let me know down below. I'd love to know what you think. So more changes to maps being looked at, this time Live Oaks. Lots of proposed, and again bear in mind this is only being looked at the moment, so the idea is, let me bolster this up a bit bigger. No, there we go. So the idea is that there will be, oh, why does that keep going on and off? How weird. So, because it's it's a meme. You're an idiot, Tom. It's a rotating image, isn't it? So there'll be the swamp area in the middle of the map. A series of islands have been added with overgrown grass for cover. So that's interesting. So through here, more islands. You can see. That's how it currently is. That's how they're proposing. So interesting. Along the perimeter of the marsh, improved and added positions for control of the center of the map. So that's these around here, basically more bushes to allow you to hide in there better and have more impact. Improved defensive positions to the north, which is here. Yeah, probably did need that, because the trouble is once the enemy pushed up through this area here, it was very, very difficult to actually have much impact. And alter the riverbed for more comfortable interaction with the swamp. So that's here. So that's how it currently is. That's how they're proposing. So there's a video to accompany that. Let's have a quick look, see what we can find out from this. You can see a lot more sort of bits and bobs in the middle there. just get rid of that horrible music. So all the way around, more positions definitely here, much more overgrown. So this is a new bit of the river leading up to the lake area. Not sure what that gives us, unless you're going to suddenly get boats. Anyway, you can see this is what they're looking to do. So more tweaks, I would characterize this, rather than sweeping changes. It's probably a good idea, because this middle area here is pretty much unused. I think this northern area here, once the enemy are pushed up from where we are looking here, it's very difficult to defend. So at least there's a few options now, whereas conversely on the opposite side there's a lot better positions to defend. So there we go. So this is all new, this wasn't here, all these islands. So potentially there's a way for light tanks to work their way through there if they've got good camo, and pressurize the caps either side that way. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's good. These buildings aren't here currently. These islands aren't here currently. This building isn't here currently. So all very new. I think the fire positions around the edges don't seem that substantial, but it's odd, isn't it? Wargaming, a good few patches ago, took out all the defensive positions and all the cover to stop people camping. Seem to be now putting them back in. Hey ho, there you go. So one thing I didn't talk about in the last video, last ramblings, with the 9.17.1 changes that are coming in the next patch, is fairly significant changes to strongholds. And I know not everybody plays strongholds, so they probably don't really care about this, so you know, fast forward through this bit of the video if you like. But I think again that this is to be celebrated, and I think the one thing I'm going to say about what Wargaming are doing at the moment with World of Tanks is they are genuinely seem to be listening to what people say, and actually genuinely seem to be trying to make the game better. And I know Shock Horror Pro, but everyone loves to have a go at people, and particularly companies, for, you know, not doing a good job. I actually think stand up and applaud for Wargaming for what they're doing, and Strongholds changes are a good indication of that. So currently what happens, as I understand it, and I forgive me, people understand Strongholds better than I probably do, but currently if you're in a stronghold, if you've got your stronghold up to a certain level, it can be attacked by enemy clans, and there is nothing around matchmaking between those attacks. So what is tending to happen, not always, but tends to happen, is the better clans pick on the weaker clans to attack them once they reach a certain level. And when you get defeated in these battles, you have resources pillaged, and so they go to the attacker. Defender loses effectively. So currently for the weaker clans, there's no incentive for them to build their structures up to that level, because all that's going to happen is they get whacked repeatedly by better clans who just rob them blind, literally. And for the good clans, it just seems a bit stupid, really. They don't get they have an easy win. You know, if they're, I don't know, massively experienced players going in against, you know, distinctly average players, it can't be that much fun for them, can it? Yeah, it's wargaming. It's a wargaming game. People love just kicking people when they're down, don't they? So anyway, they're going to change this, and there will no longer be a choice. So it's impossible for you to dictate that I want to attack that clan. What will happen is when you decide to do an attack, it would matchmake you against similar clans of similar ability to yours. So and you won't have a choice in it. It will be, this is who you're attacking at this time, which is great. There's also changes to timings of the attack. So again, I think one of the things people understand this better than I will. There's certain times of day and night that you can decide to attack or defend. So you know, if you're a European clan, probably having defends at 3 o'clock in the morning is not very good. but as amazing many clans decide to do attacks at that time because lo and behold there's nobody there to defend against them. So that's changing as well. So there's various changes going on to strongholds, which I think, if you're into strongholds and you're a commander of a clan and who does strongholds, I suggest you check those out. But there's some very, very good changes, and I think again it shows that Wargaming are trying. They're trying to make it better for the majority. Not for those super clans or super players who are out there just love stomping on people, but then screw you guys, go and play another game if you don't want to play fairly. This allows the average player, the goodish player, to have a decent game, and I think that's to be applauded, so well done. And finally, just to apologise in advance, and I put it last so you can switch off now, did anyone see these Super Bowl ads? Oh my god. I have nothing further to say than to show you this.
You're a man who knows how to get things done. That's why Stefedra helps you rise to the occasion.
In a world of tanks, tanks rule! Rated T.
I seriously apologise for showing that video. Not as much as Wargaming should apologise for ever producing that video. But it shows they're making a big effort to try and push in America, because there was about 4 different Super Bowl ads that they produced. That was by far the tackiest, but the others weren't much better, to be honest. Anyway, keeps the game moving and people want to play it and want to try it, then fantastic, I say. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed today's ramblings. If you did, please give it a like, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. Won't be one next week. I'm off to the US for a week on business, so I'll be in San Francisco next Thursday, so won't manage to do a video in the run up to that, but I've uploaded loads of content ready to go, so those that are interested in the game replays and other things, then they'll all be up there. But obviously ramblings is a bit more sort of on the moment, so as and when I see things I record a bit of segment for it, so that won't be possible because I'm in the US all week. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as I say, give it a like, and I will see you again soon. Enjoy your games, have fun, remember it is just a damn game, try not to take it too seriously, and I'll see you again soon. Gamer Dom out.